Afternoon, everybody. For folks on the call, my name is Vishal Khullar, and I'm a senior director at Evosys. What we wanted to cover was our exciting topic of strategic workforce planning. So maybe Harshal, if you can flip to the next slide, let's start with our agenda. So I'll be the host today, and our co-host today is Harshal, who leads our EPM practice within Evosys. And between the two of us, we'll be covering the following things. We'll start with our quick introduction of who we are and the exciting work we've been doing. And then we'll get into the meat of the things, starting with some of the challenges we typically see with workforce planning solutions. And then we'll get into a really exciting demo where you can see the product in live action. We also will be sharing some case studies around some of the benefits that we typically see when customers adopt the workforce planning solution, followed by Q&A. But feel free to use the chat if you have a question during our presentation to ask us anything. All right, so having said that, we'll quickly with our Evosys introduction. Just from a quick glance, Evosys has been in the business for the last 12 years. And during that course of we've taken about 1,000 plus customers across the cloud solutions. And a lot of these have been around HCM. We certainly characterize ourselves as HCM experts, and we have implemented a lot of HR, including advanced capabilities around performance and review management, chatbots, and some of the exciting things with cloud, Oracle Cloud. We do operate in 30 countries, so customers who have international footprint, we can easily support their implementation and provide production support as well. And overall, we have a really strong team of more than 1,500 Oracle consultants. And not only we do HCM, the last box where we say cloud pillars, that indicates that we do all of the back office function, whether it's financials, procurement, supply chain, high period planning, financial planning and budgeting solution, and so forth. So that's broad strokes about Evosys. Next slide, please. It's good to just illustrate what the market thinks of Evosys. This is the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, and we've been slowly moving up the Magic Quadrant, and we were ranked #1 by Gartner in terms of our customer satisfaction. So all in all, there are only 15 partners that made that cut, and we are in the top 5. Okay, next slide. These are some of the awards and accolades that we have gotten from the Oracle. Over the last 3 years, we've been the Partner of the Year award. We've won that award across HCM and a number of different solutions across geographies. These awards are usually when we solve complex business problems for our customers. So recognition of that. All right, so I think that's at a high level about Evosys. I'll pass the baton over to Harshal, who leads our EPM practice, and our session. Harshal?
Yep, thanks, Vishal. Just want to do a quick sound check. Can you hear me good?
Yep.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So thanks for joining the webinar. As Vishal mentioned, the webinar focuses on, HR set of people who are looking to do a strategic planning around their workforce. In past 6 months, I mean, the world has seen a catastrophe of, pandemic, and that has actually made HR team a bit proactive about how they want to do their workforce planning. There has been a lot of discussions around how organizations should plan for their workforce. So what we are trying to do today is we are trying to cover some of the challenges that HR team has in terms of strategic workforce planning, how the solution can help you in terms of plan your workforce and align your FTs or your workforce demand and supplies with organization vision. So if I move to the next slide, there are quite a few challenges that we see when it comes to workforce planning. And again, one of the key challenge that we have seen organization face is improve their current staffing and future talent requirements. I mean, departments have requirement. Departments, the operational side of the area, they come up with the new initiatives, but we have seen HR is always kept in silo, and they come just with a requirement when they need it. In ideal scenario, the the vision of the operational team has to be aligned with how that vision going to be achieved, and what kind of staffing you guys need, you guys need in terms of achieving that vision. So again, getting a good resourcing, it's extremely important. uh, Identifying talents and skill gaps is again a key challenge. So 2 years down the line, if there is a new technology that is coming in, and if you are planning to use that to, let's say, improve your production capacity, improve your servicing area, it's extremely important that you start identifying those technology now and plan for how you are going to acquire that talent 2 years or 3 years down the line. If you don't plan it from now, I mean, 2 years down the line, you will be in a situation where, your system will, your organization will have a new technology for their operational activity, but you will not have right set of people, and ultimately you won't be able to reap the benefit of, the new technology or new initiatives at the get go. And this is most common problem that we have seen. I mean, each major department or major support department work in silos. There is very minimal, I would say, a collaboration between HR, finance, and IT. I mean, we have seen a finance team working out their budgets, their long-term financial plan uh, separately, and HR has no clue about it. Or if HR is working on the strategic planning, finance has no clue about it. And when uh, if we try to compare both the vision or both the strategic plan, they do not reconcile with each other. So that's the major gap, and one won't be complete without another. So we have to make sure as an organization that the strategic planning, both on the financial side as well as in order to achieve that financial plan, the strategic workforce plan, you have it properly aligned. So yeah, again, a more or less similar point. uh, a lot of gap between finance and HR team. So what this solution will do is help you uh, mitigate this kind of risk, and bridge this gap between finance and HR team. Lack of having a kind of an enterprise-wide application where you can actually collaborate with the different departments in terms of knowing the requirements, uh, going down and identifying how you are going to fulfill that requirement, whether through LinkedIn, through Indeed, or through other job portal or other HR consulting organization. So most what we have seen is either organizations are not doing it, or if they are doing it, they are doing it very high level on Excel, because they know the concept, but they do not have a right tool to go deep into uh, the the workforce planning. So these are some of the challenges which we have observed, and the tool that we are going to show you today is going to help you mitigate all these gaps, and have you a good strategic planning solution. So if I want to put this in a a brief context, what basically strategic workforce planning do is it will help you align right set of people with the right skill set at the right time. So again, going back to my example where, let's say, your organization is investing in or is planning to invest in a technology to improve, let's say, your manufacturing production capacity, or let's say to improve your uh, so if you are a healthcare organization, to improve your, let's say, surgical services. Now you do not need these people now, you need these people 2 years down the line. So what it does basically, it gives you a horizon that how you should plan your hiring, uh, from where you should plan your hiring, and what set of people you should look at, whether you should look at full-time employee, or you should go into some arrangement of resource augmentation, or you should hire some people on contingent basis. So effectively, this solution would help you identify those people when they are needed, and what set of skill set they would need, when they are onboarded. This way, you can control your cost. This way, you will not have an overburden or under resourcing at any point of time. So the solution has multiple components within it. So you can do the long-term workforce planning. And when I say long-term, it could start from 2 years, and it could end to 25 years. So depending on how your organization do your vision or strategic planning, you can actually plan for that long-term in terms of your headcounts and workforce. You can manage your demand supplies within this application. So you can collaborate with the different department. You can ask to fill in their need over the period of next 5 to 10 years. uh, it gets automatically collaborated. It gives you a bird eye view of how much additional people you are going to need over the period of next 3 to 5 to 10 years. And then it will allow HR team to plan their supply, so how you are going to meet that demand. It will also give you an opportunity to have an internal discussion with the department heads, whether to discuss about certain set of positions. So if there is a skill set which is extremely niche, and if it's not available in the market, or if it's available it's too expensive, you may want to collaborate with the department head and talk about some other options. So all those kind of activities you can do it within the application. The best part is this is not this application doesn't work in silo. This application is tightly integrated with the HCM application. So whether you use Oracle HCM applications, or Workday, or Infor, or Sage, or any other HCM application, it takes its information from the HCM set of modules, and that way your HCM modules are aligned with your planning application. So effectively, you are not talking about two different systems where you have different positions in your HCM, and what you plan is completely different. These two applications are going to be tightly integrated with each other, and they are going to use the data of the so HCM application is going to use the data from planning, and vice versa. So that's again a good point on having a workforce planning solution. You can do a scenario modeling for crisis situation, like what we have been facing now. uh, I mean, we have a couple of customer who have actually leveraged this planning application to plan for their resourcing, or resource onboarding as well as offboarding. So they have identified which are the departments most affected, how much resourcing we would need for those set of departments. And they have gone down to a level that they have staggered down their furloughs. They have staggered down their overall resource onboarding in a way that when it comes to a situation where things catch normal, they will operate at 100% capacity. But till that time, they have reduced their workforce overall capacity, and they could do that based on the scenario modeling. So for example, let's assume that currently on the east coast where I live, the situation is pretty normal, and we are anticipating everything will be back to normal in October. But you want to plan for a uncertainty, and let's say I mean I was reading a news where Europe is again going into lockdown because of COVID cases increase. So let's say if that situation come, what you want to do? You do not want to wait till this situation comes. You want to plan in advance that if this situation comes anytime in next 3, 5, 6, 8 months, this is my plan B, this is my plan C. So all this kind of modeling you can do within the application using say same set of information. And last but most important piece is this workforce plan is tightly integrated with your strategic financial planning. So whatever demand and supply you are going to agree on, it will have an impact on the financial planning, and it will impact how your salary expenses are going to be, how your benefits look like, and what are other workforce related compensation impacting the financial. So that's a key high level understanding of workforce planning. Now, before I move into the application, I consider this as a four-step solution where you start assessing the skills of what you have. Uh, then you collaborate with the departments and you plan for the demand. Uh, Once you have the demand in from the different set of departments, you plan for how you are going to meet this demand. And this includes, identifying people who are going to retire, your attrition rate by age group, by different set of job categories. And at the end, what you do is, you model your workforce to, prepare yourself for a situation like, what we just talked about. So you can do all this stuff within the application. So what I'll do is I'll move into the application, but till that time, if you have any question, feel free to, type it in the question box. Okay. All right. Vishal, can you confirm if you can see my screen of the application?
Yes, Harshal.
Okay, thank you. So this is the kind of the application homepage. If you see this, this looks like uh, an app, a mobile app. Uh, you do not have to go through a lot of training to use this tool. This is pretty much straightforward to understand. It comes with predefined analytics. It comes with a lot of information out of the box. Once you load your positions, your employee count, you will start seeing the results straight away without having to waste 3 months, 4 months, 6 months on the implementation. uh, as you see, we have different set of clusters. I have strategic workforce wherein I can do the skill assessment. I can also analyze my demographics. So yeah, if you want to do that, you can do that. You do the demand, supplies, and that will ask you to do the gap analysis. Similarly, on the workforce side, what you have is you can actually plan for your compensation. So you can plan for your new vacancies, new hires. You can plan for the transfer of the employees. So all these are linked with the finance. So let's say if you transfer one employee from one department to another, automatically the budget with respect to that employee gets transferred to another department. So all this kind of the corresponding finance activity happens in the back, and you do not need to worry about that. So let me quickly talk about a strategic workforce. So here, as you see, I have a quick comparison of two positions. I have analyst and I have a senior vice president, and this works at a department level. So if you see here, I have a one scenario, one version, but I have multiple entities. If you see, I have Vision Corporation, then US legal entities, and under that I have multiple support department. I have SCM, finance, sales, services, manufacturing, and within that I could have a different set of departments. I have SCM, benefits. So again, you based on your cost center hierarchy, your organizational structure, we can define different entities, different cost center, different departments, uh, even different facilities and locations. So if you want to go down at that level and do the planning, you can do that. Currently, we are going to talk about HCM US, and I'm going to show the information only on those on this particular entity. You can see this is your current data. This is your current plan. You can look at 5-year plan at the same time. You can review your employee information. So all this information come from your SCM application. So you see their position, the name of the employee, and their data. What is also interesting and which is important to plan for the workforce is to have your average compensation rate for each type of job or position, because this is something which application is going to refer when calculating a long-term financial plan. So let's say if you have 5 analysts coming in, the average salary it will be $83,000 and multiply with 5, so that's going to be your budget for analyst. So that's, you can define these rates, you can bring these rates from your payroll application, or let's say if you want to go on the hourly basis or a weekly payment basis or bi-weekly payment basis, application is flexible enough to accommodate that piece. So you start reviewing your actual information, you do a quick skill assessment. So if you see here, I have two very important graph wherein the blue one shows uh, the where I am in 2020, and the green one shows where I want my employees to be in 2024. So for example, in the risk taking, I want my employees to be at the rate of 3. Currently I am at 2.66. So this is a quick comparison. Similarly, this is a kind of a correlation, and let's say if you do not want to analyze data in the charts, you can easily go in and analyze the data in the table. And that way, and this is auto calculated, so that's why you see this many decimals. But yeah, uh, this is the average skill set that you want organization to be in FY 2024, and this is where you are now in 2020. So this way you can actually identify the skill set you need in terms of going for a new hire, or let's say if you are planning to uh, train employee on the different things, you can identify where employee needs more attention. And this is a kind of a summary, and then you can analyze it by category, by employee, by details. So if you see, this is a mentoring, where you are now and where you want uh, employees in 2024. You can go down at an employee level. And this is most detail. And what is the gap? So this is just for one entity. If I want to look at for entire department, I can actually look at for entire department. So I can say total SCM. I'll see this for all the department. Yeah. So this way you can define your skills, you can define your targets, that where you want employee to reach at the end of 5 years or 4 years or 10 years. And based on that, system will identify what is the gap, and it will help you uh, fulfilling the supply. So let's say if you do not foresee Aaron to reach to this level, you may want to think about replacing Aaron with someone else, or probably moving Aaron to some other department and have someone else who can reach to this level in 2024. So that level of planning you can do in here. On the demographics, it's more of a information. I mean, if you want to analyze your data by gender, by age band, by ethnicity, by educational level, you can do that in here. So it's more of for you to have a quick information on how your overall employee headcount looks like. And as I said, this works at different levels. So I can go back to the SCM. Now this is a quick analysis of your next 5 years of demand, how you want your demand or different type of employees. So let's say here I have human resource generalist, and currently in 2020 I have three employees. Now if I go in here, I would need average 7 employees in 2024, and that is depending upon what kind of work you are going to do or how you are planning your HR transition. So similarly, let's say if I'm coming up with a new technology and I would need and I'm in IT, so let's say I need people with Java skill set today. So, and my headcount is, let's say, 15. But over the period of time, if we are moving to a technology which is kind of a blockchain technology or machine learning technology, I would not need Java people that many in FY 2024. I would need, 5 blockchain people, 3 machine learning set of people, and probably, 2 or 3 Java people. So that way you can see how the trend is in terms of different set of job categories. You can enter different demand driver data. So many organization where I've seen, they do their FT calculation based on a different driver. So if I talk about call centers, they average, let's say, and every employee has to take 50 calls in a day. So effectively, if they are handling 50,000 calls in a month, they can identify how many FT they would need in a month, and that way they will decide whether they need to hire more or they need to internally train people. So similarly, you can define. So if you have some statistics or if you want to use some drivers, again, going taking an example of accounts payable department, where you can actually define that one employee would need to process 50 invoices. And let's say if you have 10,000 invoices in a month, then system will calculate that, yeah, these are your average FT. Current FT is, let's say, less by 20%. So you may want to hire zero point 0.2 FT to fulfill that particular need. So that way you can drive your demand based on different drivers. You can enter this driver information by entity or by job or by by even employee. So this will go down at a entity level, and you will see different set of positions and what are the different set of calculations behind demand. Again, this is extremely detailed. If you want to keep it high level, wherein you pull the data from SCM application, do some scenario modeling on your own, and generate your demand and supply, you can do that. But yeah, if you want to go down to the most granular level, you can do that as well. And then at the end, you can also see the demand compensation for different type of jobs. Then you can do a supply analysis for multiple years or multiple positions. You can define your iterations. Again, you can have multiple iteration driver. So I have considered only one, which is by age. Sometimes you may want to eliminate some jobs over the period of time, so you could have another iteration driver, that iteration by job. You can define your retirement age for different periods. So for example, if you have a policy that is coming into effect in FY23, that your retirement age will be reduced from 60 to 55, then you can just put in here and system will calculate that in FY23 you may want to hire 2 more people just to replace your existing set of people. So you can define that. You can enter your iteration data by age or by job. Again, it depending upon how you want to do that. You have aging in here, and then you have different jobs, and you can enter your iteration data. So all this would be considered while defining your supply. So when you go into the supply FT, system will tell you you would need 1 FT or overall this many FT. This is what your turnover looks like, and this is your supply. And if you want to go further into it, you can actually add supplies from where it is going to come. Here you can add multiple lines that, okay, I'm going to hire 3 new FTs. The source could be, let's say, LinkedIn or Indeed, and they are going to come into the organization from, let's say, FY23. That way, I can, do the supply planning. I can look at my headcounts, and I can look at my compensation as well. And at the last, I can do a quick gap analysis. So for the purpose of demo, I have kept a huge difference between my demand and supply so that we can see the difference. So if you see here, I have a demand of 46 FTEs in F20, but I have only 1.8 FTE. So HR team has to start working and fulfill this 44 requirement. And this is based on the headcount. So this is a quick, and a fast overview of, how you can use or leverage strategic workforce. You can further go down and plan your compensation. So let's say, once you do your 5 years planning, then you can go down in a single year and plan for a specific year. So this is your financial plan or compensation plan for FY20. You can request for new hires. You can add hiring requisition. Once you launch it, it goes for an approval, and that way you do not have, unauthorized hiring requisition coming from different departments. So let's say if someone has raised this, it has to go through an approval channel before it comes into your queue for an actual hiring. So you can add multiple hiring requests, you can calculate your compensations, and you can do quite a few things in here. You can plan for your existing employees. You can review your existing set of employees, and you can start doing the budgeting for that as well. So as you see, for each hiring requisition, you have an option whether they are going to start from Jan. And if they are going to start from Jan, system will calculate the salary from Jan. What are their skill set, like all this information you can manage in here. Again, this is applicable for different jobs and different set of employees. Yeah, so I mean, this is what overall workforce or strategic workforce planning is. As I mentioned, this is tightly integrated with your SCM application. So whatever plan you do in here, you can actually push back and capture it in your workforce SCM application, and make sure that your actual doesn't access it to what you have budgeted or planned for. Okay, I'll so that was the application. I have a quick couple of scenarios where this application has helped the customer. So uh, again, this is coming from two different customers. So there was one customer where they had a challenge uh, of connecting their workforce plan with the organization vision. Now this was never done. I mean, organization was planning only on the financial basis. They never considered the workforce. And what it did basically is they always lacked on hiring. They always lacked on the appropriate resourcing at the right point of time. So they started implementing it. They implemented this, and what they did is they connected the strategic workforce with the company's vision. So effectively, if company's vision is to, let's say, grow 2x or 3x, effectively how it is going to impact the workforce planning, or how many additional headcounts you would need, or what set of people you would need. So both both made connected, and that way HR team could able to plan the hiring and other activities in advance. The other piece was more on where a financial team was doing their planning separately as compared to the workforce planning. And one of the reason was workforce team didn't had enough tools to do this, while finance team was doing this on a planning application. Workforce team was managing this on Excel. So after implementing this, not only they were able to connect the workforce plan with the financial side of the area, they also could reduce their overall planning cycle by a couple of months. So since they do not need to depend on different set of people to provide the data and for collaboration, they got everything in the one place, and that way they could reduce the workforce planning cycle by a couple of months. So that way this application has helped a couple of customers in terms of managing their overall workforce. Again, these are just a couple of case studies. We have quite a few customers who has leveraged this application in some or other way. Yeah, so I think that was it. I mean, I'll now pause for a question and answer. If you have any, you can write it in the chat box.
Yeah, for folks on the call, please feel free to ask questions via chat. But hopefully this gives you a pretty good glimpse into how powerful this application is and the value it gives to you to plan your future. Could be 12 months, could be 3 years, but employees are one of the main ingredients. So certainly this is a really good application to leverage within the organization. All right, so Harshal, I'm not seeing any questions. For folks on the call, we'll get a copy of this presentation. But thanks again for your time. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks, Vishal.
Thanks. Bye.